Welcome, Spartans, to Mission Debrief. We're playing every mission in the mainline Halo video game series in chronological order, discussing our experiences and sprinkling in a little lore along the way. If you'd like to play along and have your thoughts read on the show, email us at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. We'll be playing the reunion mission from Halo 5 on the next episode. If you like what you hear and want to support the show, visit Podcast Evolved on Patreon. This episode, we're debriefing the Evacuation mission from Halo 5. I'm your host, Colin Perkins, alongside David Arnold.
Hello, everybody.
And Krysta Brown.
Stop looking at the skybox and run!
It's so beautiful, though.
All right, so everyone's now deaf, so now we can talk about the episode.
Last mission was Meridian Station / unconfirmed. Sloan was revealed to be an aging AI and reluctant to assist in the search for Blue Team. However, Locke sweet-talked him into providing transport to Apogee Station, where Master Chief and his fellow Spartan 2s were last seen. Fireteam Osiris followed the trail deep underground, where they encountered heavy Promethean resistance and the Warden Eternal, a towering Forerunner construct that claimed loyalty to Cortana. After disposing of the metal boss, Locke threw down with John 117 and cracked his visor with a nasty backhand. Chief ultimately outmaneuvered Locke and joined the rest of Blue Team on the departing Guardian. This mission is Evacuation. Meridian begins immediate evacuation as the enormous Forerunner Guardian causes massive destruction while it emerges from the depths of the planet. Fireteam Osiris races back toward the space elevator so they can escape the planet and regroup with the crew on Infinity. The date of the game is October 25th, 2552. No cutscene.
58.
2558. What did I say?
2.
52.
Oh,
You're so wrong.
That's like back in Halo 3 days.
Yup.
That's back in OG. No.
It was
All right,
after
58.
the long sleep.
It was after the nap. So we don't have any cutscene to start. We just get plopped out of our little portal.
Plopped is a very good explanation of what happens.
We do.
You're just like, oh, okay, the mission's starting. Interesting.
Yep. We get some music to set the tone, and to your point, Krysta, like there's lots going on. The skybox is amazing here.
I sit and watch it. Nothing happens if you just stand there.
I think there is a time. Time at some point.
Buck starts yelling at you and stuff. But.
Yeah, and maybe it's when you do the final climb at the end. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. What do you do here right away, David? You're hustling? Do you hop in the Warthog right away? Do you go and jump into a Gun Goose? What's your approach here?
I've tried it both ways, but I think the Warthog is kind of the standard. I think the Gun Goose is too flippity.
Yeah.
I think they're very much, you get there's a big sense of urgency in this mission.
Yeah.
So typically, unless I'm actually like achievement hunting, I didn't do that much exploration because I very much got caught up in like this mission flows very well out of the previous one, and you get a great sense of like time to move, and the skybox is pretty awesome. Like seeing that Guardian move is pretty amazing at that scale. So I'm pretty much in a Warthog and I'm gunning it.
Krysta, same. What are you doing?
I watch the Guardian fully emerge because it's cool, and then I hop on a Warthog and just go. Like David said, to David's point, like if I wasn't playing these missions for the story and kind of just running around and having fun instead, I probably would shoot enemies, but I just kind of drive right towards the objective.
Yeah, this Guardian is enormous.
He's adorable. I want
He's very
one.
cute.
Can I keep it, Mom?
We didn't really talk about the Guardian in the last mission at all, but he's got a weird-looking face and
big boy.
some
It's a
teeth
face only a mother could love.
and some very big wings that he will flap at you at some point. But it's an interesting thing. We'll probably go into it more. I would imagine next mission we'll probably talk about the Guardians a little bit more.
Yeah.
There's a little more explanation, I think, from just the story and whatnot. But this huge thing is coming out of the ground. So let's go back. We got to go back to the space elevator to get the hell off Meridian. One of the interesting things here, I actually hadn't gotten the skull until just playing it finally now again, and I did hop in a Gun Goose to get the skull. So what you need to do is you need to go around, and in this opening area before you finally have to get out of the vehicles, You go around and pop there's little cones around there. There's 5 different cones, and just watch a walkthrough to figure out where they are. But you need to shoot the cones in 2 minutes. There's 5 cones, so over the course of 2 minutes, you need to shoot all 5 cones, and there's a grunt birthday sound that pops after you do. And if you do it the 2 minutes, then at the very end of the mission, which we'll get to, then the skull will be there, which is a little bizarre because, I mean, I don't know if the grunt birthday party sound would go after the 2 minutes, or did the cones disappear after 2 minutes? Do you guys know anything about like missing out on the skull?
Oh, I can't remember. I did it so long ago.
I did it once and never did it ever again.
Yeah. I would imagine, I mean, to be fair to the player, you would hope that maybe they would disappear, or if you shot them, then they wouldn't make the sound, so you knew that, I didn't do it in time. But I'm not completely sure how that works. I was able to get it done. It's not too hard to shoot them all within 2 minutes, but anyway, so do that if you haven't done that already. It's a fun little mini game, I guess, within the game. And like I said, I did the gun goose because it's because you have a little bit more control on, well, you can actually shoot with the gun goose, so it's a little bit easier to do that rather than flip back and forth with a warthog. But yeah, I've been doing the gun goose all the way down, and I don't really spend too much time going around and shooting enemies because really, to your point, Krysta, is you can just go to the next area and you see everything kind of, well, like the Meridian is evacuating, right? But you don't see, like, there aren't buildings crumbling or anything like that. There's a sense of urgency with the music and all the enemies, but like you don't see anything like falling down.
I mean, it's kind of on fire.
Yeah, things are different, and there's like planes crash or pelicans crashed and whatnot, but like the environment itself isn't like falling down on top of your head. I
mean, there's not much in the environment to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Just glassed planets and these UNSC outposts, which are like those crazy like bunker-style buildings, which won't fall over or anything like that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They're made of metal and stuff.
So there's a couple things where there's like 4 different sections of this mission, and I just kind of pulled out some of the dialogue because the Fireteam Osiris is trying to figure out what's going on during this, and so I pulled out a couple of the dialogue pieces. Vale is the one that kind of speaks up, and she's really going through her head. You can tell as she's piping up and like, what is going on here? She says, he knows somehow. I think she's talking about Sloan, and then she says something about she knows chiefs on board the Guardian, and she says the other colonies Captain Lasky told me about. This is what happened to them. Locke, this colony is going to be a crater soon. And then she says the other colonies, there are more Guardians. So she's trying to figure all this sort of stuff out. The one thing that's interesting, the next line I'll read that she has is she says, but why this one? Why is the chief on this Guardian? I think it's the first Cortana activated on purpose. So that's a little bit of an assumption there that she's assuming that this is the first one that's activated. And it's just interesting because she's talking about the other colonies, but that there was, I think at the very beginning of the game there was like an incident. That's what was talked about, but it wasn't clear that a Guardian came out of the ground at that point, right? Like this seems to be the first sighting of a Guardian.
Yeah, I'm glad you pulled that out because I found that very interesting as well. This playthrough, I kind of noticed it really for the first time that's what Vale says. I'm like, how does Vale know that? Are they just telling us that they think this is why? I think maybe she was, or maybe this was maybe like the easiest Guardian for them to get to with the least amount of like UNSC or Covenant presence. I guess maybe it's just like a simple one that Blue Team could get to very quickly based on where they were.
Well,
that's my guess.
Cortana directed Blue.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She directed him to him. So yeah, I guess that's a good point.
I'm sure maybe she was activating all of the Guardians on purpose.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and she's there are more than one, as we'll talk. Well, Vale talks about it here, and we'll find out here soon that there are more than one.
There's like Guardians. At least 2.
Yeah, there's at least 2 Guardians. But anyway, so Buck talks about the singing voice, and so they make this kind of weird. What do you call this? Metallic.
Wah.
Yeah.
It makes dubstep noises.
Right, they're DJs, really. And then Sloan pops on and he says, "This is Governor Sloan broadcasting to all frequency people. If you are still planetside, make your way to the space elevator right now." It says final shuttles are departing with or without you. So he's trying to save his people here after seeing this Guardian emerge. Vale chimes in and because the plan is to get back to the Pelican that they came in on, and she says, "Can we autopilot the Pelican? Can we get it to come and get us?" And then, meanwhile, you hear a bunch of like distress signals in the background. People are like getting shot out of the sky. And Buck says, "Well, probably not. If I think there's Phaetons up there shooting the everybody else, the Meridians, out of the sky." And that fight up there, I was trying to think about this too. There is a kind of like a battle going on because the Guardian is protecting itself, right? Like the Meridians are trying to leave, but they also might be shooting at this thing. So the Guardian's trying to stop that from happening.
Yeah, and remember the fate that the Promethean forces were also engaging the colonists before the Guardian even woke up.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine this is a continuation of that fight that's maybe coupled with the Guardian actually activating.
Well, and it's interesting too because we talked about in the previous missions how Blue Team was more or less just they were allowed to go through here. The fighting I don't think really happened until Osiris showed up, and so I think the resistance from the Forerunners were because Osiris was there, and they were trying to stop.
Maybe because they were definitely there was fighting happening before you got in the space elevator.
Well, but it was right when you got in there. Like you fly your Pelican in, there's no fighting, but as soon as you go down, that's when there's fighting going on. So I think it's because the Osiris has a presence, and the Prometheans know that our job is to go hunt down Chief. That's why all this is going on. That's my sense. That feels like a good explanation of why this is going on. All right, so then we get to that security outpost. This is the kind of the way back into where we came out, I guess. You'll notice this is the same arena after we got off the elevator originally, and you have to get out of your vehicles here. You hop over this crashed Pelican, and then you have to clear out this entire area. So it's the same area that we were already in a couple missions ago. Krysta, what's your approach here? Are you going because you can go all the way up to the doors, way at the front, and there's some turrets up there. Depending on what difficulty you're playing on, it's going to be tough to get up there. Or you can just sit back and just slowly just kind of clear everybody out. Krysta, what do you do?
I went to the left and up. There's like stairs over there.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I just climbed up the stairs. There's like a sniper up top and a gauze turret.
Yes, right.
And so I just used that.
One of those soldiers will hop on that turret too and be a pain in the butt. So it's better to use it.
Yeah. So I detached it and like melted a couple soldiers with it.
Nice.
And then just moved up. I mean, at some point you have to move up towards the door, and then there's some annoying guys on turrets and stuff. But I just sniped them. I just ran up and just tap danced on their dead bodies.
David, how about you?
I'm pretty much the same. I love using the turrets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really mess with the turrets too much on the sides. I kind of go down below and just... I think this last time I actually did go all the way. I just sprinted because I felt like, we're trying to get out of here. So I sprinted all the way up to the doors. You do have some buddies up there that are also trying to evacuate. But then you have to clear out the Prometheans. Like they won't open this door until you clear everybody out. So you have to sit there, and there's a turret up top there that you can use, and plenty of weapons. But the only thing is, if you do rush all the way up to the front to that main door, that some of the Prometheans will hang back in the main area. So I had cleared out everything like in my immediate vicinity, but the next dialogue line wouldn't trigger. I had to actually go back and clear out. I think some of the Prometheans were on the turrets, so I had to go back and clear those guys out. Interesting dialogue in this area. Let's see. Some of the
Sloan insulted me.
Yeah.
He's like, right. Can you hurry up? I'm like, Jesus.
He says, "What's taking so long, Spartans? Your propaganda is overselling your skills."
I'm like, Jesus,
I ain't opening the door until the base is clear.
What happened to him being so nice to me? I don't understand. Thought we were buddies.
Well, Buck chimes in. He says, "We get to stop being polite with him real soon, right?" And then we keep going, and then he says, actually, when you clear out the area, then Sloan chimes in and says, then he gives you a compliment. He says, Spartans, your tenacity outstrips even my own. So he's kind of like going back and forth between, being mean and cranky and like giving you a little bit of a pat in the back, I guess. Vale chimes in. She says, when did Cortana tell you about the Guardian? She calls Sloan out. And then he says, oh, you're good. She gave me fair warning, true enough. I was allowed to help my people survive. A change is going to come for all of us, human and created alike. She's bringing a new dawn, and I intend to be part of it. Ooh.
I think this is the first time we've really heard the term created, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, I think so.
AIs referring to themselves as created instead of AIs.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys ever watched the movie, I think it's just called, is it called AI?
It is.
With Will Smith?
No, that's called iRobot.
iRobot, yeah. I watched that recently, and they talk about created in there, too.
Yeah, that's true.
I only play Halo. How dare you?
Anyway, so you're kind of at the door, and he's giving you a little... he gives you a little pep talk, but then he also reveals some of the story here, some of the plot. So he's talked with Cortana. And we already know that Warden has talked with Cortana, and she's up to something. And then he finally says, I see my time is up. Good luck to everybody, and goodbye. And then he, like you said, he pieces out.
He's like, bye.
We don't really know where he goes. He just says goodbye. I'm not sure if he hops on his AI, whatever you call it, is transferred over to the Guardian or what.
It probably
Not
hops
exactly
on
sure.
some kind of data stream, just pieces out.
So now we open the big doors open here, and you can wander around. There's a couple pieces of intel in here that you can grab, and then everybody's really waiting to get over back into the space elevator, what we came down on. The one thing I was missing here in this part, so I like the ride up itself, but I wish they did at some point, maybe like right here, they took a second to do one of those like mini cut scenes where they panned out, showed you the planet, there's the Guardian off on the side, and then just the giant space elevator reaching from the ground all the way up.
You kind of see that in the escape, like the very end cutscene of this mission, though.
Yeah, you see it a little bit, but I feel like when I was on, when I was playing this the first time, this whole game was a blur. But playing it through it again, it would have been nice to like just have that perspective as to, oh yeah, I am back on this elevator that I came down on, and now it's going up, and then these battles are going on around me.
I mean, maybe like the thing that kind of bugs me is that if you try to look out the window, you only see sky. Mm-hmm. It would have been nice to kind of see you like actually like leaving the planet. Maybe that would give you maybe that would give us a little better sense of how high up we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they tried to do that with like kind of the PA is talking about you're at like level 2, level 3, that sort of thing, and you do see, there is movement in the elevator. But anyway, so what do you think about this elevator ride, David? Are you a fan of this encounter, this little, little arena?
I have bad memories of it, of how difficult I found this on Legendary.
It was really tough on Legendary.
I just get flashbacks to that every time. I mean, it's not a bad encounter because they give you plenty of weapons around, but on Legendary you just get swamped.
Yeah, that's true. Because you're hiding behind all of the environment, the vehicles and whatnot, and
running around a lot.
Crawlers are going all over the place, and the soldiers are all over the place, and eventually you meet some knights that are bastards. So yeah.
And Legendary is even more difficult with the revive system because, like, the AI has like poo-poo for brains, and even more so on Legendary.
Yeah, they get dumber on Legendary for sure. Yeah, so it makes it pretty rough on you. Some of the dialogue here. So really what this is, the elevator goes up, and then it's just waves of enemies, and every time you clear out a wave, so when the enemies enter the area, when your Prometheans come in, then the elevator stops. And it's like a security override. It says, okay, we can't go until you clear these enemies out. You clear the enemies, and then it keeps going up, and then so you get a couple waves of that. But before you actually go up the elevator, you clear the initial wave of Prometheans, and then you need to find the on button. And for some reason, I found this dialogue funny because Locke says, Tanaka, override the security system. And then he says, but lockdown, it's on lockdown, and we can't move until we clear the last of the Prometheans. And then when you actually clear out the Prometheans, Locke says, okay, area's clear. Tanaka, how do we get the elevator moving? And then her one comment is, find the control panel.
And you have to find the button.
And then you just have to go and push the button. And she's not the one that does it. You're the one that actually goes and pushes the button. But anyway, it's kind of goofy. They're just trying to give Tanaka a little, I don't know, maybe some expertise in this area. But it is interesting, we talk about the different personalities. Like Vale is sorting out what's going on in her head and like trying to figure out what these guardians are, and she kind of calls out Sloane. So you kind of learn a little bit more about her personality, and then they're trying to give Tanaka a little bit more here. And they've already done that with kind of the previous missions where they're asking her about glass planets and things like that. But I guess her role is to figure this part of the mission out. Krysta, anything else about the waves of this area?
I mean, like, it's really cool playing this area just because it's pretty much a jungle gym and you can kind of go up on stuff.
Yeah, like, that's a good point.
There are these big yellow beams at the very top of the map that you can get up on and hang out there if you want to. I do ground pounds from those. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was going to say, you could do lots of ground pounding and Spartan charging in this area.
I think they made the room interesting because there's a lot of secret, kind of air quotes, secret rooms that you can find weapons in and stuff like that. So there's a little bit for everyone. And I mean, on Heroic, it's not bad. It is super bad on Legendary, but Heroic is manageable.
Mm-hmm. Like, what weapons are you using for the most part?
Oh, I killed most of the Promethean Knights with a railgun, and then pretty much everything else. I was using an SMG and an assault rifle for a while, just because you're close quarters, and then of course a BR.
Yeah, David, what were you using?
BR for the most part. I actually kept it for most of this mission, and I did take on those sentinels with a mixture of splinter turrets that are dropped by enemies, and the railgun, which is one of the rare instances I'll actually use a railgun because you really need it here, especially on Heroic or higher.
Yeah, I agree. I use the Hydra launcher a bit.
Oh yeah,
I find that real weak might this playthrough. I don't know what it is.
In multiplayer it's really great, but for some reason using it in campaign isn't so great.
Mm-hmm. The other one that I was using was the splinter turret. As soon as they're called officers, I think. As soon as they come in, I kill those guys right away and snag that. Those are definitely handy for the knights at the end.
The knights killed my whole team except me.
Oh, really?
It was kind of hilarious. They all died at the same time, so Locke is like, Vale's down! Tanaka is out! Buck's down! I'm like, okay, thanks for letting me know.
Last man standing. Yeah. There's 3, I think. There's 3 knights at the very end. Quite a few.
Yeah.
Normally it's just 1 or 2, but 3's a lot in the small space. I think I killed the first two right away, but then nothing triggered, and so I was just like going around and around until I finally found the knight. Like he was circling the same direction I was. Then we finally found each other, and I happily murdered him.
Good job.
So let's see some of the other dialogue here. They suss out that Chief and Blue Team go way back. So they ask the question, why? I understand why Chief would go after Cortana, but why would the rest of the Blue Team? And just giving you a little bit more background about Blue Team is like, hey, they've been around since they've been together since they were kids, so they're really family. I thought that was
they made it very clear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
For people who read the books and stuff, we're like, oh yeah, it's Blue Team, but it's for people who don't know exactly who Blue Team is.
Yep. Buck mentions New Alexandria.
Yes, I thought that was interesting, actually.
Yeah, he says New Alexandria all over again. We claw our way here, scratch a life out in the dirt, and for what? So we can run, leave it all behind? Tanaka says, there's a difference between running and living to fight another day. And then Locke says, Tanaka's right. Humanity at our best Humanity's at our best when we're making something out of nothing. We're tenacious. We'll rebuild as many times as we have to. Which is, that's kind of a weird line. It's like, it's kind of assumptive that, like, granted, yeah, these Guardians are a big threat, but, like, we haven't lost anything yet. Like, we haven't really fought them yet. So it's a little bit too far down the path that we're on the ropes and we're in our last breath or something like that.
I do like Book mentioning New Alexandria, though. That's a nice callback to Reach.
Yep. As you're going up, so Sloan is gone, as we mentioned. There's a woman by the name of Evelyn Collins that pops on.
I'm so confused
hysterical
about this.
Yeah, she must be like one of the last people left. She didn't hop on the elevator, or she wasn't able to get evacuated, so she's still on the planet. She goes, "Hello, can anyone hear me? I'm at Meridian Station. Everyone's dead. Governor Sloan isn't here. Please, is there anyone left here but me?"
And they just completely ignore her. Yeah.
That's it. It's just the one line, and they don't really say anything. Well, I guess Tanaka says Sloan just up and abandoned his people. But meanwhile, he said earlier that he made the agreement with Cortana, like, okay, this created thing sounds cool, but I want to get my people off the planet before you take the Guardian up. So it's like he's trying to protect his people, or he tried to save the people that he was governing, but then he's also looking out for himself, number one.
Yeah, that line seems so out of place and weird. It's just like, hello? You guys not gonna say anything?
No, because they're in the middle of also abandoning her.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. They're like, shit. Everyone's abandoning her. Might as well do that.
Buck chimes in. He says, if Cortana's really behind the Guardian moving, she did more damage here than him, speaking of Sloan. And then Locke says, we'll find out the truth of what happened here, and we'll make certain that those who should answer for it do. Yeah, Locke.
I hate Locke's. I hate Locke's dialogue. Every time he says something, it's like,
yeah, it's just not that great. So the other thing that happens here is we kind of reach the top. We clear the Knights, so they're the final piece, I guess, for us to move on. And then the Guardian starts to make the sound again. I think Vale chimes in with that. That's saying it's making those noises. And then there's this giant EMP burst that sends everybody flying all over the place. And that starts to break the elevator itself. And so now it's stopped and we can't, ride it up any further. So now we have to get out and climb the rest of this thing manually. And so what do you think about this climb, this last little climb here, David? Is this part
This is cool.
It's like the final panic moment. Like, I got to get the hell out of here, right?
It is, yeah. It's climbing and scrambling up this space elevator as it collapsed, which is pretty cool. Because we've seen like space elevators collapse a few times now in Halo.
That's true.
So it's kind of fun to like be in one this time, as it's in the process of doing it, which is cool. And there's kind of a cool moment where you get like a crap ton of heavy weapons fighting off some Phaetons. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Tough on Legendary, but cool.
Yeah, because they're just they're ruthless. They're off on the sides and they're pelting you from all angles. And then you also have Prometheans to deal with on the inside. Krysta, what are your thoughts on this last little spot?
Oh, I love it. I love how they, like, this spot is really good for highlighting, all of the Spartan abilities you have, except ground pound. But, you have the grapple, you have the dash. You kind of use them all to run through this area really fast if you're doing it that way. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, the skybox pretty sweet.
Oh, yeah, it's really sweet.
Granted, you can't sit there and look at it, because I think this is the spot. If you take too long, then you will fail. And, you'll sort of start over from the bottom. So there is a little bit of rush. There's no timer specifically. We've had timers before in Halo, but there isn't a specific timer. But you do have to move up. You can't take too much time. The plan here is to get into your Pelican. Let's see here, dialogue-wise. Oh, Tanaka, she has an interesting go back and forth with with Buck. So Tanaka says, the Pelican's a few more super rungs from here. And Buck says, how far is that? And she says, more than you want it to be, but not as far as it could be.
I like that.
Yeah. So she's got...
does the dialogue make it clear? I think they actually do activate the autopilot and bring it down lower to them.
Yes.
Because it's nowhere near, because you entered in space and you're nowhere near space by the time you get to your Pelican.
Like halfway up,
that's a good point.
Locke's like, screw it, I'm just going to activate autopilot.
Yeah, he says that, like that. But then, meanwhile, like, when you get to the Pelican, it's just kind of hanging out there. It's not like hovering or anything.
It's weird. It because he says it. I think he says it too soon. I think he should have said that right when the elevator stopped. Then that would make sense. But it's like 5 seconds away from when you actually get to the Pelican if you're running it like you should be. Like, this is meant to be a run area that you're not like standing and clearing out all the enemies and stuff like that. You're supposed to run through it. So it doesn't really make sense in that context because the moment he says it, you're pretty much there.
Yep, totally agree.
It's like, oh my god, did it slip space here? How did it do that?
The other thing that Tanaka says, she says the shock waves are getting closer now. And then Vale says that it's almost like a countdown, which is a little weird. Like, why would it be doing shock waves? Because then eventually, as we know, you played the mission, it just kind of leaves. So is the point to, like, disable Meridian? Or I guess the point is probably to stop Osiris. I guess that would make sense to my point earlier, is that all this is happening because of Osiris, and so the Guardian's trying to stop Osiris from escaping.
That, or it's using the EMPs to keep ships and stuff away from you.
Yeah.
Or away from it. Like, it doesn't want anyone
messing
through
its slip space window.
Yeah.
Which we've seen in Halo before.
Maybe it needs to. The thing is, it's Forerunner technology, and usually Forerunner technology just works. So I don't know if it's still, like, loading up and the slip space drive needs a little bit to charge up or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
It has been, like, how many thousands of years buried?
Yeah,
right.
And I mean...
It's got to warm up a little bit.
I'm sure the Guardian just... I'm sure if the Guardian was fully charged or whatever, it was fully ready, it would be doing the EMPs right away, so... I mean, it takes it a while for it to even get that capability back. Mm-hmm. Maybe Cortana's still interfacing with it or something like that. We've seen an instance where a Guardian was cut off from, like, the domain in Cortana, and it just kind of just hangs there and doesn't do anything. This is in one of the books, and it's just disabled, so maybe it's something like that.
Yeah,
like it needs to have a good connection to know what to do.
Anything else for the last cutscene? Because we're there. We're at the top. We climb up this last little bit, and then you see the Guardian making some noise and doing some more EMPs, and you fall over, and that's when the skull hits. So the skull kind of flies up and like lands, it like sticks into the metal right in front of you.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and so then you have to look down and grab the skull, and so that you have to do it right there because as soon as you move closer to the Pelican, which you can see in the distance, then the cutscene hits. I
like the staggering as you're getting close to your Pelican. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah, it makes you feel like it makes you feel the EMP blast.
Yeah, it's way more immersive than like just being able to run up to it.
Yep. Cool, David. Do you want to take us through the cutscene?
Yeah, the cutscene's pretty short, but is pretty dope. So pretty much, it's kind of more or less what you expect. Like you're running towards the Pelican, and then the EMP blasts essentially kind of break apart the area around where the Pelican has landed, and then the Pelican falls as all of you fall. So like you see your team diving onto the Pelican at the last minute.
Yeah, that's cool.
Vale does like a really cool, like she just shoots all the way into the cockpit and immediately starts to kind of like power it on. And then Locke, of course, is last, and he has to kind of like maneuver his boosters into it. And like immediately as he touches ground, he just shouts Vale. And as the Pelican kind of is diving down, she kind of powers it up and flies off, which is pretty damn cool. And then we just see the Guardian slip space away. And very interestingly, it doesn't.
You do see Sorry, I'm just looking at this while you talk. You do see when the Pelican goes away. That's when you see the elevator a little bit. Like
yeah,
you see
it
kind of wrap around it, and you
it.
finally see how high it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not even, to your point. Yeah, you're not even near the top of this thing.
No.
Close.
Then the Guardian pretty much slips space away. And interesting enough, it doesn't give out a big, massive shockwave,
which I was expecting. Like slip space is a very violent transfer, but also Forerunners use slip space on just people without any armor or anything. Like they would do it in buildings. We saw slip space portals in Halo 4 and stuff like that when we were jumping through all those portals and stuff. So Forerunners.
So that's the explanation, because the Forerunners have a better grasp of it.
Yeah. Like Forerunners Forerunners use slip space a lot differently than humanity and the Covenant use slip space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when the Forerunners or when the Covenant was using it, like they were using Forerunner technology, but they didn't necessarily know how it all worked. So they were using it. It's like when somebody doesn't know how to use a stick shift, like they can drive it, but they don't really do it right. So yeah.
Yeah, well, and it's like it had like even with the Forerunner technology, like humanity is just now perfected. Like, the Infinity is one of the first ships that can do pinpoint accuracy with slip space.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, slip space was like, you're going to end up in the general vicinity of where you kind of want to be. Like, they would have to start, like, when they slip spaced in, it'd have to be, like, further away from the planet and everything else, just in case they slip spaced, like, right into the planet or something like that. Because it wasn't that accurate, even with AIs.
David, any other interesting trivia for the mission?
You've kind of touched on really all of it that there is. You talked about the skull and how to get it. The chapter title, which is Sudden But Inevitable Betrayal, is a reference to a scene in Firefly, which, of course, Book/Nathan Fillion was in.
Oh,
so
yeah?
There's like a small scene in that where like Alan Tudyk is playing with two dinosaurs. And it's kind of funny. But he's saying, oh no, the carnivore with your sudden yet inevitable betrayal on the non-carnivore. It's funny. It's a funny moment. Anyway. All NPC settlers who have survived the Promethean waves during the elevator's ascension will actually die when the Guardian fires its first burst, which is disappointing.
Wasn't that an achievement to keep those guys alive?
To keep them alive to the top,
I hated that
on heroic
shit.
or higher. Oh, it sucked.
I hated that.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it because you already covered that the last section of the elevator climb is timed on your run to the Pelican.
Okay.
So if you fail, you have to start again.
You're screwed.
That's pretty much it.
Any other thoughts before we go to Intel on the mission as a whole? I mean, is there any other Halo mission that we played? We played them all. You're almost done with this one. We're halfway through. That's similar to this that comes to mind. Like this is a quick like just leave, just go. I'm trying to think of another one.
Kind of like the Pillar of Autumn running away
Yeah.
scene, kind of, but that's in a vehicle. I mean, Halo 4 has the ghost scene. Like, we've never had anything where you're outside of a vehicle trying to leave really quick.
Yeah, that's an interesting kind of analogy. It's kind of a warthog rung, but not really, because you do get out of it eventually.
Kind of a little bit, yeah, actually.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Well, why don't we just do some intel?
Okay. So there are 6 pieces of intel on evacuation, and I'm going to read them all to you.
Thank you, Krysta.
History of Meridian, 5 out of 6. After 5 years of near-constant fighting, insurrectionists lost control of Meridian to UNSC forces at the Siege of Athea, I think. Rank and file members of the Sundered Legion were offered amnesty by UNSC officials, although their leaders would go to stand trial in the UEG courts. It's just some histories, because there's a lot of insurrectionist stuff.
And the UEG is United Earth Government?
Right? Yeah. It's kind of it's pretty much just the government for everything, like the government the UNSC works off of and stuff like that. It's the big boys. Alright, so the next one is Off-World Message, 1 out of 3. Matilda, I thought you should know we're being evacuated. Now don't panic. I'm sure it's nothing. Salone just wants us to get clear of some potential trouble, and we'll be safer off-world. So this is Brandon to Matilda. There's 3 of them, so here's the next one. Matilda, I just watched the last mule take off. There's no ships left. Sloane's telling us to move to the space elevator, so they're moving us to the Warthogs. There's a lot of fighting going on out there, though. It doesn't seem safe. I think this is one of the guys that you can save on the space elevator, maybe?
Okay.
He's kind of around there. Here's the last one from him. Matilda, I made it to the elevator, but now I'm stuck at the base. There's a huge line. I guess I wasn't made to carry so many people at once. I'm sure it'll be my turn soon. Matilda, I'll send you another message when I'm in orbit.
Oh.
Spoilers, he didn't make it, so.
That's sad. This happens so fast, though. I mean, we come out of this little portal. Like, I can't imagine there was that much more time for everybody else.
I mean,
to
I'm sure
evacuate, right?
once like show up and leave, that's when Salone like starts making the evacuation orders. So during that whole like fighting with Chief and stuff, I'm sure the evacuation's going on.
Oh, I see.
Because he probably didn't want us to know about the evacuation, so he waited till we were down in the mines.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm sure Cortana told him that's where we were going to go. We're following the Chief. This is where I'm sending him. This is where they'll go. Start the evacuation.
Yep.
And I mean, the citizens might have known about it ahead of time. I don't know. The next one is Public Update Glass. The so-called glass mineral called lachaterite.
Yep.
It is a result of the Covenant lances striking the surface of the planet with plasma, converting the topsoil to glass. Any attempts to make a glassed planet habitable will mean cutting through the surface down to below the topsoil. Something we kind of already know.
Yep.
It's kind of just reiterating what we've kind of heard in all of the other Meridian ones. And then we get the final piece of the history of Meridian. Almost immediately after Meridian was recaptured by the UEG, the Covenant arrived. Captain Edmund Pierce of the UNSC Sevenfold Gates, awesome ship name, fought to the last, but was forced to order what few ships remained to fall back to the edge of the Hestia system. Within 5 hours of the captain's retreat, Meridian was glassed, and all life there was eradicated. Good job.
Shed tear.
Yeah, one single tear.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's kind of what's going on. It's nice to have some more on Meridian. Of course, there is an entire book series on Meridian as well.
Mm-hmm.
Battleborn, so kind of interesting to see the tie-ins a little bit.
I like the logs between the couple. I like that.
Yeah, that's not bad. Not bad.
Little background. Yeah, not too bad. All right, let's do some community stuff then.
Oh, God.
I think I had an okay question this time.
You nailed it. We got a lovely question by the one and only Colin Perkins, the admin, October 25th at 3:52 p.m. What is this and what does it do? Wrong answers only. Question for mission debrief, Halo 5 evacuation. And there's a picture of a Guardian. So what do we got? So Matthew Blankenship pretty much posts in what I can only imagine is a actual real advertisement for a accident claims number in America. It's pretty crazy. It's probably accurate. Fair play, Matthew. Yes, okay. That's what it is. Miles says literally a bionicle. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good.
Manny says keeps that creepy doll whose eyes always follow you from coming up from the basement.
Because it's got those. I think I did a close up too, and it's got like the face of the Guardian. Just go look up that face if you haven't seen it. It's super creepy.
Face. Noah says discount Megatron, and he's just as angry all the time. That's pretty good. Caleb said it's Karen, and she wants to speak to the manager.
Oh shit.
Sam says Master Chief's new codpiece, it protects his asset from harm.
Oh my.
Nice. It bites.
Lucas says that's a new Reaper. They're having a Mass Effect Halo crossover where Shepard and Chief have to come together to defeat the new Reaper threat.
Yes,
It's
please.
amazing. I want it. Jared said the newest vehicle, My Little Pony from Hell.
Wow.
Patrick
nice.
says, oh, this old thing, it's my new Porsche 911 Turbo with neon lights and spinners. Gwen said it's Charlie, the Forerunner accountant.
That's good.
Rasmus said it's my old Nana. That's pretty scary. Rob says Forerunner can opener. John says it's a Forerunner fly spotter. That's pretty good. And Randy finally says, I believe this is the older style television antenna that became obsolete when high-def signals came out of. That's pretty good.
Very nice,
Fair play,
Facebook.
guys.
Did Discord have anything good to say?
Yeah, they had some things to say. UNSC Brexit says my mother-in-law.
Ouch.
Dear Girl says neoliberalism. Redacted says it's a futuristic knife set.
Mm-hmm.
Dezuto says, if I'm not mistaken, that is a colonoscopy tool.
Oh, God.
Oh, no, that's rough.
Ouch.
Blue Accountant says, it's my dog when I'm blowing air up her nose.
That's accurate.
Epic Zoo says it's Darth Vader when he removes the bottom of his helmet to eat. Chief Stain says, my wife when I say I'm no longer doing the laundry, and its purpose is to strike fear into the hearts of my enemies. Monk the Fermented Omelet says it's one of those Jefferson starships I've heard so much about. Physical Sky says a Halo Mega Block set that isn't put together.
Yeah. It's all in pieces. It makes sense.
Dizzy Bumper says it's a big green virgin's second worst nightmare.
Oh. Calling out Master Chief, huh?
I know, right? And finally, Third says it's clearly the promotional material for Diablo 4 Adamantium Edition.
Ooh.
Nice.
I have one.
Go ahead.
It's what the fridge sees at 3 a.m. when I open it.
When you open it, yeah, it's looking at you. The camera, the fridge camera.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's what it, if the fridge had eyes, that's what it would see at 3 a.m. when I'm trying to get food.
Hungry. Tired. Very nice. All right, guys, I think that's it.
Oh my
Go
god.
on to Reunion next time. That'll do it for a debriefing of Evacuation from Halo 5. Next episode will be Reunion. Send us your thoughts at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet, Podcast Evolved on Twitter. You can also support the show by visiting Podcast Evolved on Patreon. Until next time, evolved.
Evolved.